Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anastashkina, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make wafer paper sunflower. Not just wafer paper, we are going to use gum paste to create our center, color our wafer paper, give it a shape, put everything together and make it look super realistic. Let's begin. To start with my sunflower, I'm going to make my center first, and I'm using this center sandstamen mold, and this is by Wilton. You can buy at any craft store. I think it's their basic set for veneers and centers. I'm going to use this large cavity, but I'm going to modify it a little bit. So I will take a touch of cornstarch and my piece of gum paste. My gum paste is about size of maybe a large olive to fit this cavity, and I'm going to gently press it down and set it aside for a few moments while I'm going to prepare my wire. I'm going to use 20 gauge wire and I cut it in half. So to make my center, I'm going to create like an umbrella shape wire, and I'm going to create a spiral first. So here's my spiral. I'm making sure that it's relatively flat. So this is in relative to my center. And then I'm going to bend it and bring this wire through the center. So now I have this shape. You can see, and then I'm going to bring this wire down, and now I have this T shape or umbrella shape for my wire to be inserted into my center, because my sunflower center is a little bit on a larger side, and I want to make sure that my floral wire will stay inside my gum paste. So I'm going to press it down like this into my gum paste in the center and bring my gum paste over to cover the wire. I find it's easier to do when my gum paste is still in the mold, so I can shape it and I can move it around. Then I'm going to press on my mold and bend my mold to release my gum paste center. So now I have it, but because sunflower centers have some indentation in the middle, I'm going to gently create this indentation with my finger. You can use a ball tool. If you have a large ball tool, you can use a large ball tool. For me, it's just easier to use my finger because I'm not looking for the shape to be perfect, like this. And the last step, to make it even more realistic, I'm going to take a pair of sharp scissors and just lightly snip on the outside to create this leaf-like shapes. So now I'm going to check my shape, my center, bring everything together. And then I'm going to put it either upside down, create a hook and put it on a wire, or just insert it in a styrofoam to leave it to dry, preferably overnight or at least a few hours. So now my center is dry. So to create my seeds or imitation of my seeds, I'm going to use coffee grounds. And to attach them, I'm going to use confectioner's glaze. You can use piping gel, you can use edible glue. I prefer to use confectioner's glaze because it dries very fast. So I'm going to bring my coffee grounds, take my dry center, and generously paint with confectioner's glaze. And then I'm going to dip my center into my coffee grounds to create my sunflower center. So I'm going to shake the excess, and then if I want, I can dust it a little bit after it's done. But now I need to set it aside to dry for a few minutes for our seeds to attach to our center. And now, while my center is drying, I'll start working on my patterns. I'm going to use my regular wafer paper, which is 0.27 millimeters, but you can use any wafer paper that you have on hand. And I have 3 layers. I'm going to cut 3 layers at the same time. And I'm going to cut about 3 centimeters strip of wafer paper, or 1.25 inches, to create my leaves. And you can make them smaller or larger, it's up to you, and it depends on the size of the mold you have to make your center. So I'm looking for the size of my petal to be about the same size as my mold. Here you can tell that my mold about 3 centimeters. And then I'm going to cut this in a smaller rectangulars, like this. And then I'm going to cut my basic shape for my petals. So it's going to be pointed on one side and flat on the bottom. For me, it's easier to remember where is my top part of my petal and where is the bottom. And I'm always prefer to make these petals different sizes and different thickness, because this will make flower a little bit more realistic when you do not have all the petals same size and same shape. Now that I pre-cut my petals, I'm going to mix my conditioner or mixture I'm going to use to color my wafer paper. I'm using my acetonic, recipes in description, but basically this is a glycerin-based wafer paper conditioner, no alcohol. I never recommend to use alcohol like vodka with wafer paper. I prefer to use this mixture. And for my color, I'm going to use this buttercup yellow because I prefer my colors to be on a gentler side, not so bold and not so loud. But I'm going to mix it together to create my mixture. And because it's sunflower and we're going to dust it, I can be a little bit more generous with my color. So this is going to be my mixture to color my petals. And I'm going to apply my wafer paper conditioner only on the front side of my petal or my bumpy side of my wafer paper. So I'm going to color my wafer paper and put it on my floral pot for a second to absorb the conditioner. And it depends with your humidity or how dry your room is. I prefer to work with several petals at a time just to speed up the process, especially for something like sunflower when you need to create many petals for your beautiful flower. So now to shape my petals, I'm going to use just my basic Dresden tool, and I'm going to apply a small amount of cornstarch to make my wafer paper not so sticky when I'm going to shape it. So I'm going to take my thick end of my Dresden tool and just press in the middle to curl my petal. You can tell that now it doesn't look flat and it's curved, and what I need to do to all my petals. If it curls too much or melts, just give it another minute on your floral pot to dry before you can shape it. And then I will set it aside and make more petals before I'm going to assemble them on a flower. Now I have my petals ready and my center is already dry with the seeds or imitation of my seeds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wafer paper glue to assemble everything together. And wafer paper glue is basically melted wafer paper with water until it becomes this gel-like consistency. And you can download my recipe for acetonic and wafer paper glue in the description below. And I'm going to start with a few smaller petals because you can see when we condition them and we shape them, some of them are a little bit smaller and some of them are a little bit bigger, but they are going to be beautiful on our sunflower. So I will take a few petals to start, take my wafer paper glue on a brush and apply a small amount of wafer paper glue on the bottom of my petal. And I usually prefer to set it aside to absorb or to melt a little bit, and I find it makes it easier to attach, especially to gum paste. So just a small amount on the bottom. And then I will take my center and start placing my petals like this. This is going to be my first layer. So like this, half of my flower is done. And sometimes it takes just a few minutes for wafer paper to be attached and for wafer paper glue to dry. I will put it upside down for a second and I will add more petals to my first layer. So this is my first layer. If I wanted to, I can leave it like this. I really like it. This is a beautiful sunflower, but I'm actually going to add another layer on top and use the same method. So I'm going to take a petal, apply a small amount of wafer paper glue on the bottom, and now you can tell that I'm looking for a larger petals to be is my back side. And again, the number of petals depends on your preferences. I find that about 10 to 12 petals for one layer is good enough, but it depends on the size again. And I'm going to look at my sunflower and place these petals in between. So this is going to be my second layer. And the key with working with wafer paper is to use as little of wafer paper glue as possible, because you can see now it's already holding its shape. And I'm going to add a few more petals and I will show you my finished sunflower after it's dried. Now my sunflower is dry and I placed about 25 petals in a different position. You can see it looks so full and beautiful. And to cover my bottom part for my sunflower, I prefer to use pre-colored wafer paper. You can buy just green, or I actually airbrush this. And I'm going to cut a small circle, and I'm going to cut this in the middle, take a small amount of my wafer paper glue and attach this onto my sunflower, like this. So this will help to cover all my petals and protect all my petals and make it look a little bit cleaner if somebody is going to see your sunflower from the bottom. And the last step I want to do is I wanted to gently dust my sunflower, and I'm going to use this poppy color or bright red color of dust, because I find sometimes when you make something just out of one color, like this wafer paper sunflower, it might look flat and not so interesting. So I'm going to use a small brush and gently dust this in between my layers. And I'm also going to use the same petal dust to touch a little bit on the ends and sides of my petals. Now my flower is much brighter and more realistic. And another step you can do is touch a little bit with the yellow dust in the middle to bring it to life. So I will take another big brush and a little bit of this daffodil color. This is beautiful yellow shade. And I'm going to gently dust only in the center of my sunflower. So I hope you can tell that now with all these colors and combination of our dusts, it looks like a beautiful mini sunflower. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Now you know how to make wafer paper sunflower. I hope you like it. If you like it, give me a like for the YouTube algorithm. You know everything. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have more wafer paper tutorials coming your way, and I'll see you next week. My name is Anna Stashkina. Bye bye.